Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Monday, June 19th, 2023. Well, I have to be honest with you about something. I was trying to avoid doing a read about the very topic we're going to do tonight, and I'll explain my reasons why. I've had a number of emails even before mainstream news or our more prominent alt media news were mentioning that there has been a lot of troop movements and military vehicles happening in the United States right now, that the presence is visible, the movements are noticeable, and people were concerned. Now, here's why I didn't want to do a read about it. First of all, I've mentioned in the past that I am a female veteran, and I was in the National Guard. And National Guard units do their 2-week trainings in the summer. This is their busy season. So to my mind, that explained at least some of what we're seeing. And then as people started showing video of the troop movements, it came to light that some of the images being shared weren't current. And that made me think that someone's want to cause some fear and worry and angst. And I still think that's the case. Now, remember, without a specific reason for asking us to stay indoors, to avoid X, Y, or Z, when it's just simply an anxiety-provoking type of situation, a fear-mongering one, well, we know that there are energies out there that feed on what we call loosh, which is our fear and anxiety. And it seems to me that there's something wanting us to keep our attention on that. Now, there's the other thing too. Attention causes energy to flow. So energy flows where attention goes. And a final reason why I didn't want to do this is quite often when we're having something so in our face as these military presences and troop movements, it's because there's something they don't want us to look at, whether it involves Burisma, bank accounts, who knows? There's something that they don't want us focusing on when they have something so easy for people to focus on and worry. And we have, make no mistake about it, we humans have been programmed and trained for generations to be worrywarts. Now, think about this. If there's a reason that there's a military presence in your community that hasn't yet been made public, what can you do about it? Probably not more than you already were doing within your means. Making sure you had food, water, supply of cash. If you're farther into the prepper type of lifestyle and can do it, maybe you're thinking it's time to go to your bug out place. Who knows? I don't. And actually doing something about that military presence, there's nothing we can do. For whatever reason, they are there. And when that reason becomes apparent, that's when we'll know where to take our next steps. So that's why I kind of didn't want to send a lot of energy into the situation. So we're going to look at it, and then we're going to remind ourselves that energy flows where attention goes. And our attention needs to be on being the best humans we can, being as prepared for the unexpected as you possibly can, and giving yourself some grace because we cannot anticipate every possible scenario, period. And then going about our life and finding reasons to smile and be kind and good to your neighbors and one another. But in the meantime, let's honor this these multiple requests I've had. And I know it's a hot topic right now that a lot of people have covered, but let's just, and I haven't, by the way, I haven't looked to see what other people are saying is the reason behind this, the troop movements and stuff. I have 2 articles that I'm going to show you. And just in case this, I am hearing some alt media chatter that there's a cyber attack that's a possibility, which would, if they could, affect our power grid and infrastructure like that. So I've got a link for you to look at, and it shows power outages US. I've always found that kind of interesting. I used it when I was up in Alaska. A lot of our power went out to see if it was widespread and what was going on. And then, as I've always told my children, if the power goes out, make sure your phone's still working, because if everything goes out, that means we're in a solar flare or an EMP situation, and that means life's going to change for, several weeks at least. So let's see what the cards have to say, though, about the troop movements that are happening in the US. And before we do that, I will share the screen to this compilation that I'll have a link to my Facebook page and that article, the articles, and you can look at them at your leisure, okay? So 1 second, let's go to the share screen. It won't take long. I personally really like this site I got these 2 articles from. I don't think I can even say it out loud on this platform. So I decided today to just simply use the 2 most recent articles I saw that this site has. Okay. One is about the V-22 Osprey military operations happening in California. And then the other one was tanks and troops deploying inside USA and Canada. It's worth mentioning that in the context of the wildfires in Canada in recent weeks, the cards did tell us that white hats, the good guys, were using the fire response as a way to move assets and troops around without causing alarm. Now, the last item I have on this compilation is poweroutages.us. I find it very informative. Like I said, I've used it just personally for a lot of years. Like right now, you can see that here's where the outages are happening. They may be weather related, okay? And just something to kind of keep your eye on. One of more of those, if you're keeping some bookmarks of sites that have practical information, like I also have I keep the U.S. Geological Survey for the earthquakes on tap and tsunami warning, which jives quite nicely with the earthquake information. So if you haven't started your own little bookmark collection, maybe you should, okay? Because the reality is, until our world makes a lot of changes and they clean up the media, we're going to have to get better at looking at information from various sources and reaching our own, as much as possible, informed conclusions about what's going on. But let's use the cards tonight and do some more of that informed conclusions. Let's ask the universe for insights and information about the widespread movement of troops inside the United States borders in recent days. Is there information or insights that people would be valuable to be aware of that can be shared with us? So let's find out. Okay, insights and information about troop movements and military assets that are on the move and very visible. We know some of them are simply summertime training for our guard units, but there's more than that, more than can be accounted for by that. We also know that the powers that used to be seem to want us to worry about them because they seem to have a hand in sharing some images that are older to magnify the situation. So let's see where our focus should be, concern should be, and insights and information to be had. I'm going to assume the whole deck is upside down and turn it. There we go. All right. Our first card is the 4 of Swords. 10 of Swords. 10 of Pentacles. 3 of Pentacles. Lots of Pentacles. We have the 8 of Pentacles. The World. Ace of Cups. Okay. Right now, just with the cards as I've been laying them down, I'm not seeing anything concerning. I am going to pause for just a second and take care of that glare and center the cards a little better, but they won't move position. And you can see that this won't move at all in case we pull other cards. I usually do. In fact, hey, let's just do it now so there's nobody worrying about what did Laura do while the camera was off. Okay, there'd be the first set and the second set. Okay, we'll get to those later. Well, here's what's interesting about the cards right now. I am seeing that actually these troop movements are representative of a lot of action that's happened actually in the past. The Four of Swords is often about a recovery time after intense activity. It can also mean sometimes that there's some information, and I'm taking it this way as what intuitively it seems to be telling me is there's some information the universe is not ready to share with us. Now, I've told you in the past that I firmly believe that the universe, our loving creator, however, whatever lens you use for that term, is very, very invested in having humanity be restored on the path that was intended for them. And to that end, while the universe will share some information with me, there's times when something won't. And the things that won't be shared are things that both sides could use that might give an advantage to the deep state or cabal. So they don't ever need to watch my videos. Oh, so anyway, we're getting a little more information from that with the 10 of Swords showing up, because the 10 of Swords is a card that talks about completion. So yeah, there's been some very intense activity. It is now kind of at an end. In fact, in the recent past, there's been a lot of celebrating, and these are very tangible celebrations with the pentacles showing up here. We got pentacles, pentacles, pentacles. This, the pentacle sign is our earth sign. So it talks about tangible things, real estate, gold, silver, goods and things like that. So there's been celebrating that this intense activity has actually come to a very glorious ending point. And now we're at a point here. The Three of Pentacles is about firm foundations and parties in agreement, okay? It's also, again, there's been a lot of skilled background work going on for the situation. So currently I'm not seeing anything that would make me personally alarmed by the military presence that's happening in around our country. I think it's protective in nature, okay? And it's there just in case there is something like, say, a cyber attack, and you know, there's people that are going to take advantage of a situation. And God bless our men and women in uniform, whatever uniform they wear, if they're doing to the best of their ability, trying to protect and preserve innocent life. And so God bless them. That's all I have to say. We have the Eight of Pentacles here. For now, let's start looking in the near future. Now, understand the way I read cards, this near future is this card. Insights, the strongest insight is here, then the next strongest, and these just layer in a little more information or insights or something to giggle about or whatever, but they get less insightful and impactful. That's why, even though you will see the Devil card came up as my very last card, it's the least impactful one here. So it's not concerning like it might have been if it was in this position. So let's look at the near future. We have the Eight of Pentacles. This is skilled labor. So it's a nod to the fact that a lot of what we're seeing are some maneuvers that are being done, readiness maneuvers, okay? There are also that 25% maybe that aren't readiness, that are, the readiness maneuvers are providing cover for the actual real extractions and things like that are going on. I do get a sense that there are some high value assets that are being rounded up. And so what better time than under the guise of, oh, it's time for our 2-week training, to have a few of those operations actually be genuine and impactful. Now, let's look at the insights and information about their skilled labor. First of all, it's not just the United States, it's the entire world. And we are at the point of victory. We are. That's why our Schumann resonance is blossoming and showing its true colors. That's why so many beautiful things are happening. Colors are brighter, birds are singing, flowers are prettier. There's lots going on, and there's more to come. The Ace of Cups is a beautiful card to have on the other side of this one. So the whole world is going to be in a position to benefit from these coordinated, long-term, finally paying dividend efforts. The Ace of Cups, cups are emotions, and that's our emotion suit. And when cup shows up, it's about love and emotional fulfillment, contentment. So again, this is a card of joy, contentment, and multi-generation celebrating. And we've got more here showing up just bolstering. In the near future, we got to a place where can is going to become more open, and it's going to be very widespread. Now, let's look at the other impactful cards. And I usually do them 2 by 2 and see if they kind of help each other. We have 2 6s going on here for the first 2, which will lay like this and this. This is a victory card. This is a victory card. This is a success card. This is a celebration card. There's so many good celebration and success cards here. And then the 6 of Swords is almost my favorite card in the deck, one of the regular suits, because it's always talking about going from a place where there's been trouble, confusion, and chaos to smoother waters and protecting innocent life in the process. So I love this card, and that's what it means whenever you see that, just a nod to the fact that innocent life has been as much as possible preserved, and in going forward, even more so. Now, let's see what these 2 work together to say. We have the 7 of Swords. This card's the one card in the sword deck that's a little tricky, okay? He's trying to get away with stuff. And he's having to, as he shows up for me, and what he's usually nodding to me is that there's elements involved in freeing our planet, freeing the assorted countries that are part of the alliance that are working to rid this plane of existence of evil. Okay, that evils had to make do with far less than they hoped for. Okay, the Devil card is a nod to those that are actually willingly still part of that force of evil, just because that's their soul contract, that's their choice, what have you. They freely made that choice. If you look at actually the details in this card, and it tends to be a little bit creepy. I think it's also a little funny because that tail's going to get singed really, really soon. But they're shackles. They're willingly shackled there because they could easily get out of those, So it talks about temptations that you've willingly, knowingly, with your own free will gone into and stayed part of. So those that did that, the deep state is coming out short, on the short end of the stick here, in every way possible. And they are still trying to. This is a nod to the fact that that doesn't mean we're seeing an end to the false flappy things, to some of the MK Ultra people being triggered, things like that, because to the very last end, evil's going to do evil simply because that's their bread and butter. Okay, that's what feeds their inner self is evil and causing fear and anxiety and lose. So let's recap. We looked at insights and information about why there's so much widespread military presence, activity, troop movements, asset movement going on, etc., in so many states right now within the United States borders. We got a nod to the fact that actually this is signaling that some other operation, something that was covert, has gotten into the final stages. Okay, this card indicates that there's been intense activity. It also indicates that there's some information that the universe wasn't wanting to share at this time. And as I said during the read, I said that's usually because I really believe that benevolent beings, our loving creator, are all invested in the human race becoming free and our path being restored. And to that end, if something needs to remain confidential, it will. So, but something was kind of, so it's not that something's starting, it's that something has kind of ended, the end of an era. This was bolstered by the card that came up for the recent past, the 10 of Pentacles, which is a card of celebration, multi-generation celebration, very tangible, wealth-oriented, yay, things are good, okay? Something's happened. I think it involves part involves finances, but it just human well-being is also kind of the energy I was getting as I was looking at that. Now, for our current beautiful card, the 3 of Pentacles, again, Pentacles are the earth sign, so they talk about real tangible things. And this is one, firm foundations, very firm foundations, kind of parties in agreement, moving forward. And I'm getting the feeling that our earth and we humans are getting ready to move forward in a beautiful and very obvious way. Now, I say that because the near future card we have, the 8 of Pentacles going on here, which talks about skilled labor. So this was kind of a nod that, yes, right now, part of what's going on is the fact that this is the time of year that our National Guard and reserves do their training, their 2-week training. But in conjunction with that, there is some genuine operations going on right now that we aren't getting the full information about and shouldn't, because both sides look at all the information, okay? But that under the cover of that, there are some acquisitions of people of interest going on. And some of it is also protective in nature, because if we are going to be suffering the effects of some kind of widespread power outage via either a solar flare or a cyber attack or something like that, there needs to be, assets need to be already in place to keep innocent life as protected and safe as possible. Now, our insight cards were gorgeous. We got for the near future, we got the world. Just a reminder that even though we're asking about troop movements in the United States, we're already aware that there's some going on in Canada, but that all around the world, this has been happening. This waking up process, this emancipation process is for the world, not just for one country or a select group of countries. Okay. And then Ace of Cups, success, and a very fulfilling success. Again, kind of letting us know what those 10s were saying a while ago, earlier in the read. Then the less impactful cards that we're telling about the near future, this one, victory card, and innocent life being sheltered as we move from a place of chaos and trouble to a more peaceful time and place. Our least impactful cards in the read were the last 2. Just a reminder that people have willingly entered into agreements that weren't beneficial for mankind. They're having to settle for a lot less than they were hoping for with those agreements. But that even though those are happening, because evil is and evil does, there's still going to be, even though we're getting into the disclosure and celebration phases, that advances have been made in the line. We're no longer just holding the line, that they will still, to the last breath, attempt to do things that harm, because harming and disrespecting creation is what evil's all about. So, situational awareness, guys. Know your exits, make common sense accommodations for the world. And don't spend too much time thinking about those troops when, depending on your location, if there's a need for them to be activated and doing a specific job in your area, you will be informed about that. But overall, they're not there to do harm, but to protect innocent life. And that is you and I. Now, I talk about making sensible precautions. I'm planning to take a little trip tomorrow that involves driving. If I had to walk back, it would take me about 10 days. Come that fast. So I'm going to have a small bug out bag with me, but I'm not stopping what I'm doing. okay? And a pair of sensible shoes in case I ended up having to walk back. Hopefully I could buy a bike from someone and make it faster. But I'm still not altering my plans. I'm just thinking, okay, but it would be sensible to have this, this, and this with me, just in case. A little extra cash, sensible shoes, an extra pair of socks, just in case. Nothing I can't carry in a big purse. Okay, so that's it for this video. I thank you so much for your time. I don't take you for granted. And I am so thankful and blessed that I get to speak so often to so many people who are willing to look outside the box and explore concepts that maybe 20 years ago you would have, 10 years ago, 2 years ago, you might not have been ready to. And I love the skeptics amongst you. I love everyone who's skeptical about the tarot. Be skeptical. It's just that if I tell you the cards are saying something, make note of it. Sometimes I'll be right. Sometimes I'll be wrong. Sometimes your gut will tell you right away, oh, she is so right on this. This is right. You're learning to follow your discernment. And that is one of the huge skills that is atrophied in the human race that is getting activated now. And so I love it. So be skeptical if that's your nature. All right? I don't mind at all. I applaud you for it. We need to use our critical thinking skills. And that means not just nodding in agreement just because someone says something with authority. And I wish more people had done that a few years ago. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, well, that's it for this video. Until next time, which is very, very soon, unless I have to walk home. I send you love and light and all things bright. Good night.